Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. We are looking at the Queen of Swords underneath the deck. That's someone who is standing in truth and integrity. And let's see what the Queen has to say to us today in spirit and in truth. Hope you're doing well. Didn't say that. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. And there's the Empress first out with the Hierophant. Wow, cool. The Empress, who is prosperous, productive, very fertile. She's a creative being, not just of human beings, but also of things and perhaps even places. She embodies creativity in her being, in her essence, and gives life to things in an energetic and a physical sense, and is the most powerful queen in the deck because she's made up of all the queens. And the Hierophant, let's see, what's the Hierophant is, it could be religious structures, it could just be establishments, it could be a collective of high power energy, or at least energies in a high level position. It can represent the establishment, the structure of society, the organized structure of society. So let's see, it's a little bit early to tell, but the Empress and the Hierophant, those are two very powerful earthly entities. So let's see what comes up, but keep that Hierophant in mind. What's the Empress saying about the Hierophant and vice versa? What do we need to know today, Spirit? Thank you for a message. The Empress is definitely a wonderful start. See? Oh, and the Queen of Swords is back out. Wow. What's poppin'? Empress and the Queen of Swords energy. And let's see, what's that? And the Hierophant there again. No way. And the Six of Wands, which is about moving forward in victory and success. So the Empress is seated upon her throne. She's moving in the spirit of truth and integrity, and she's doing so successfully, having conquered some past, if not conquered, definitely overcome some past challenge or charge. And I'm going to just go out on a limb and say having overcome the constraints and confinements of society, somehow having leveled up above the confinements. Oh, Lordy. Yep. She's leveled up beyond her limitations, and that those limitations could be people, places, and things, and as I said before, society itself. She's head and shoulders above the rest. That was the High Priestess twice and the Hierophant again. So let's see. King of Swords, I saw you. Yeah, beyond the confusion about herself, or confusion, internal conflict, or confusion, illusion, delusion that was perhaps projected onto her is what I hear. The projection of identity that maybe once upon a time she assumed, which maybe had kept her from fully operating in that Empress energy. But when you see the Empress, it implies that there's been some mastery of all the elements. The Swords, which is mental and thoughts and logic. The Wands, which is creativity, power, force. The Cups, which is emotions and love, even self-love in particular. And then the Pentacles, which is material manifestation and management and stuff like that. So when the Empress is on the throne, that means that she has confronted and transcended all of the elements, and it's like I'm every woman type of thing. That's what I literally just heard in my head. It's all in her. And then we got the Four of Swords, which is about laying things to rest. And I see the oh no, that's the Seven of, I thought it was the 10, the Seven of Pentacles under the deck, which is maybe taking a rest, if not maybe laying herself to rest, taking a rest from being hard at work and investing, because you've done the work at the stage of the Empress. You've paid your dues and you've done so integrity with this implication here, and even surmounting some great challenges and charges in the Seven of Cups here, and the Six of Wands that passed us, which means you overcame a lot of the competition and the chaos that was an obstruction or even a distraction along your path to transcendence. So you can take a rest. And this kind of came up last night in a sense too. Like, don't feel guilty about resting your mind, resting your spirit, resting your energy. Some people even feel guilty taking naps in the middle of the day. I'm not usually one for a nap, but mainly because being a mom and it's kind of hard to do that. But yesterday in the message, I posted a late night tarot message, and depending on when I post this, because I may not post this today, but if I do, then check out my late night tarot message titled We Are God, where I spoke about just taking a moment to breathe and to rest, and this is like a willful meditation and restfulness, where we've been conditioned to feel like we just gotta always be doing something, staying busy for the sake of looking busy, or even feeling self-gratified in our own energetic frequency, to always be able to say, I'm doing something, I'm working on something, I'm creating something, when sometimes your creative force is most productive in a restful state. And when we don't take the time to relax and regenerate our energy, we actually can burn out. And this Seven of Pentacles is not just an investment of material harvest or energy. It's also it can be attention, time, the essence of you in totality is what pentacles are, but in a sensational way. So, sometimes we feel like we can never do enough, especially when we're particularly focused on a goal or some desirable outcome, and making money, in that sense too. But this energy is giving me, if you're already in the Empress position, you get to celebrate the creativity that maybe you're not quite connecting to how impactful your work has been already. And it's not to say that you can just throw in the towel and like brush your hands off, I'm done. If there's still left some things left to be desired to create, or some inspiration for further creativity, for sure, keep at it. But don't be afraid to rest as if you're going to miss something if you don't, because sometimes in the restful stage, when we're regenerating, is when we're actually reinvigorated with new inspiration to plant new seeds that will sustain this position of power and prosperity here. So don't be afraid to rest. Don't feel guilty. You earned it. You deserve it. This indication. Well, that's way too many. This is an indication that you've been working hard. And, what I want to say is that sometimes when we look through the lens of society, or the reflection of society, the ideal of working hard looks different than what our natural soul is telling us is necessary or sufficient. So being the Queen of Swords energy, not falling into the illusion of what success looks like, even in action and in motion, and emotionally and intellectually, almost outsmarting and outwitting yourself as to what true prosperity is. Sometimes it's not, I would say most times it's not going to look like what society is telling you is successful and what is productive, you know, because if you go by that measure, you would probably never stop working, because society is set up to reflect to us that, yeah, there's never enough, and we got to hold on to all that we have and do more to gain more, and don't sleep. You know what I mean? You know, what's like a popular hustle hard, you know, all those types of things that society we've actually encouraged ourselves in the way of, like, we have definitely perpetuated the ideals of hard work and success and victory, but it comes in strange packages in comparison to what society would tell us. You'd be surprised how just taking a day to actually enjoy yourself and rest, you know, would regenerate you for some power surge ahead. Like yesterday, I didn't intend to take a nap at the time that I did, but when I woke up to Whitney Houston singing "I Have Nothing," you know, and it inspired me for a message, and I got on the screen, and you know, I felt very easeful in the energy that I projected in that time. Whereas I wanted to do a message earlier in the day, but I was a little bit busy, and then I got a little bit tired, thought I was just relaxing for a second, and then I ended up sleeping for like a good hour or two, you know, at least, which is very rare for me with a 7-year-old. So take that moment of relaxation, because in your sleep, as they say with kids grow in their sleep, and energetically so do we. And your sleep and your dreams is when things are downloaded into the psyche and into the subconscious that regenerate your strength to power forward, rejuvenate you, and reinvigorate, you know, your energy to do more with the energetic force that is giving more now in this age, in this time. Because what I also said is that there's a great surge of energy that's piercing through, and we as human spirits are evolving at rapid speeds, like faster than probably any generation before us has. I don't know about beyond us, but we've never seen this level of growth energetically and spiritually, and even expansion materially, with this Pentacle card that we're witnessing and experiencing firsthand now. It's almost imperative that you take a rest, you know what I mean, and get your strength back, regain your strength, because you've gone through a lot. If you've made it to this point, you've overcome a lot, you've surmounted a lot, you've pushed through a lot mentally, emotionally, physically, energetically. You've pushed through a lot of charges and challenges to get to that Six of Wands energy of victory and success, to just sit in the energy of your highest vibration, to be in the authority of your energy, to be able to be the one to say with no apologies, you know, no, today is my day of rest, or I'm going to go on vacation, or you know, I'm not going to work on these days, or I'm not going to work a job. You know, I'm going to be the master of my own manifestations, and I'm going to start a business. Or, you know, there are so many things that we're taking charge of energetically, and it is quite honestly a gift of the universe to be courageous in that regard, you know, not to fall into the gap of the matrix, you know, that is resistant to independence for sure, but to stand firmly even in the face of opposition, and wholeheartedly receive the gifts of the divine to manifest in a human sense, you know, spiritual, in spirit and in truth. And then we got the Seven of Wands here, which is about that trickery and deceit, and you know, there's energies that want to keep you from connecting to, you know, it's like giving me energies want to manipulate you mentally at this Queen of Swords stage from being aware of your position of power and authority, you know, and this is happening in an intimate level and in a very expansive way, i.e. society. That was the card that came up. Maybe it's religion, maybe it's corporations, it's government, it's education. It's all those pillars, as a matter of fact, that would want to keep you bound to some illusionary ideal of yourself and separate it from your sovereigns. Ultimately that truth of you that knows the truth of self, knows the value of self, with the Empress being the value, the highest value, and is not afraid to walk in their own independence. There are those that would want to monopolize on that energy, to quench it, to squash it first and foremost, and kind of like make you subservient in a spiritual sense again, so that you can fuel the system, ultimately, because the powers that be, or the powers that were, however you want to look at it, and it's just that spirit of what's the word I'm looking for, resistance, and what's that devil energy I'm looking for? Limitation. That spirit of limitation, that is fueled by codependency and dependency. Right now the system isn't able to recognize. If you are an independent being, then you have the vision, as a matter of fact, to see how the world can change in a much more productive way, so that everyone benefits, that everyone is blessed, everyone is elevated, everyone evolves, according to his or her own right. But this old world system that would like to keep things just as they are, it is broke, but they don't want to fix it, type of thing, because it works for the interest of the system, is not benefited by those that are not willing to work jobs that they don't like, that are not willing to, feed the educational system because that's what society says you need in order to get a good job or to get ahead. It's not fueled by those that are not afraid to take their talents and their gifts and start a business that's lucrative, let alone to create legacy and longevity of wealth and dynasty, and to be completely self-contained and self-sustained. It doesn't see the value in that right now, and understandably so, but it's up to us as the individuals who are the value. We are the hot commodities in the land, and are aware of such, and are courageous enough to walk in that prominence, and also to continue to produce seed continuously that is also of that quality, knowing that it's more about quality than quantity, not how much money you make, but the quality of life that you're actually experiencing. That's the energy that's changing the DNA, the very DNA of society that we once knew it to be, which was more of a slave culture and a slave mentality, a slave spirited energy, which is this here, looking to monopolize, manipulate energy, manipulate the mental capacity and power of subservience, to leave people behind in the dust, and in some position of lack, and poverty, so that there's always a dependence on the system that is offered, so that you feel like if you don't contribute to it, you won't be able to survive or sustain yourself, let alone to thrive, So we have to resist, we don't have to do anything. Everyone has a choice, but we're being called to resist. That was the World card, moving back into that energy, and the forces that would benefit from it may in fact want to do anything to, Wheel of Fortune may in fact want to do anything to keep it going. You know what I mean? Like I said, it doesn't benefit those that can gain from it the most for you to be free. At least not from the perspective that, it's a very limited perspective now on all accounts. Even those that want to keep people limited, that's the adverse, i.e. devil energy at work. So if everyone can get free to see all possibilities in all, AWEALL, then we could turn this wheel of evolution for all and raise the creative consciousness for all universally. It's like a few that want to keep it down, and then the small majority, as I like to say. I say small majority because it's so hard to really because of the force that's been opposed and projected, this way of life as we've known it. It's hard to gather the masses to be on one accord with the evolution that is naturally set to take place. Yeah, there's rejection for that because people are so conditioned to be in this childlike energy, dependent on whatever fish in the cup that you give them. What's this? The 10, when you could have the 10 of Pentacles. This is the dynasty, the legacy, generational wealth. We've been restricted and restrained from creating these opportunities and projected the limitation that it's only for a few, and only if you're lucky, Wheel of Fortune here, and only if you're gifted the opportunity to do so from some authoritative force or ordained a chosen one to be a star or be prosperous by that Hierophant energy that came up earlier, by society standards. But we're releasing those of us that are operating in a certain capacity to transcend and ascend are not drinking that cup. We're not drinking that Kool-Aid anymore. And it doesn't mean that you can't. I want to be clear, because a lot of times I use the example of working a job. There are occupations and positions and career paths that are so-called a part of the matrix that are essential to everyday living. So it's not to resist any contribution to the structure of society. It's about being in alignment with those structures most organically. So yes, it's indeed about not continuing to work a job just because it gives you a lot of money or it puts you in a high position of power, but you hate it. You hate the people, you hate the job itself, you don't like the environment, it's in disagreement with who you're evolving to be, because a lot of times we may have started a thing in one truth about ourselves and now we've grown, but a lot of times when we're getting the spiritual invitation to expand, we resist it because we can't really see the forest for the trees. We can't really see how that expansion will also afford us security and stability. But in this day and age, it's like the leap of faith is more than a novelty now. It's a matter of life and death. Because if you stay in these places and spaces and with people and in agreements and connections and contracts and tied up in investments that you are 100% positive are not adding value to your life, are not putting you in a productive position, are not adding love, creative force to your life force, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're actually falling behind with the universal evolution that is happening one way or another. It's just a matter of your choice as to which side of this wheel you choose to be on. Those that are going to be sitting on top of the world, or those that are going to be, stuck under the wheel, literally stuck, And I'm not the judge of what gets to happen beyond your decisions, but I am a messenger here to say that your choice makes all the difference, especially now more than ever, because if you're not willing to make that bold move and that bold choice now, just for your greatest good. Nothing more, nothing less. Not asking you to reinvent the wheel, but to just organically connect to the alignment that is being gifted to you. That thing that, this is the seed, and it may even seem like a small seed at first, but when it comes from a divine space, meaning it comes from that a space of alignment with your spirit, mind, and body, you can depend on it more than you can depend on material paper money. This is the gift that keeps on giving unto you, and that is going to grow and expand your life beyond your wildest dreams, beyond the limitations that once upon a time may have been even satisfying. We're looking for super satisfaction, sensational satisfaction at this time. It doesn't mean, it's not about the sacrifice for the sake of, for losing self anymore, or losing soul, or disconnecting from spirit. It's quite the opposite. It's so that you can collect the totality of your soul and your spirit from the fragmented way that it's been kind of dispersed in the illusions of society. It's been literally dispersed in these cups, pieces of you here and there that haven't been in one collective force. Now you get to collect yourself as one whole star, and shine from that perspective brighter than you could ever do in a aspect or in a space that is not conducive for your light, but that just kind of gives you a little bit of life force, a little bit of fuel to get through to the next day, or pays the light bill, literally, pays the mortgage, pays your car note, makes you feel important in society, makes you feel accepted to know that you're working, like everybody else. You're educated like all your peers, you're married like all your friends, but is it fulfilling is always the question. Is it fulfilling? Is it receiving you holistically? And are you nourished and nurtured by what you are drinking up? This guy has his arms folded and doesn't want any more of what's in that cup. So those things that are falling in line with that energy are, let's see, that's 3, I'll take it. And here's that cup. This is that cup. Those things that are in the line with that energy, yeah, it's like, it's self-defeating, it's you pretty much for not choosing your highest self, your highest vibration, choosing love, pure passion, choosing prosperity, that is integral, that is impressionable and productive, for your legacy and in some way, shape, or form in society. That's a dead end. That's a I'm trying to say like a what's the word, when you betrayal, it's like you betraying yourself, and it puts you on the outside looking in. This guy is a far distance away. That's what this card represents a lot of times, like just watching from the outside, from far distances, and it puts you at a far distance from these connections that are divine, that are organic, that are destined, even with the Wheel of Fortune here. You put a great separation between yourself and your destiny simply by not choosing yourself and your destiny, So this is what I meant yesterday when I was talking about we are God, is that we get to recognize our power of creativity, that we are the active agents in our reality. And it's not about dependency on some force beyond what we can see, although there are absolutely forces beyond what we can see that are working through us, and guiding us along the way for sure. But the operative word is through, that you have to be the one that receives the intel and then puts it into action. When you're receiving the signs and signals of the dead ends in your life, that are not bringing you any high value, it's it's up to you to make the choice to change that energy, you know, to change that vibration, more or less to change yourself within that vibration. And a lot of times that means to separate from that vibration, put some separation between yourself and this energy that, you know, is a betrayal to your highest self here at this stage, your most honest expression of creativity. So there's that there. And here's the Ace of Cups. Oh, boy, goddamn. Cards just be pet. You see it, so I can't even. And I'm glad you can see it, because I used to not really show the cards as much. But you see how it happens sometimes at the 10 of Cups, which is the ultimate wish fulfillment. You know, this is like ethereal wish fulfillment. Maybe even, you know, like expecting a baby, perhaps. You know, this is expecting a proposal or some big offer. Like, these are big energetic energies that are offering themselves from a divine space, because you have positioned yourself in alignment to receive them. And that's why I want to reiterate the awareness of your present position, you know, where you are right now, to really maybe take some time to rest and reflect, especially before we go into this new moon. I think it's on the 17th in Cancer, where you're going to be put back into, you know, a more proactive state of action, you know. But at this time, while we're still kind of lingering in the full moon energy, you absolutely have permission to rest and reflect and take inventory of just, I gotta sneeze, won't come out, of how far you've come, you know, what you've overcome, what you've accomplished. Because like I said, this Empress position just says it all as far as who you are now and who you get to recognize yourself to be. And the cards are really saying no different in how they're flowing, that you have already done the work to rightfully earn the position that you're sitting in. And this here is a celebration again of that energy, you know, of the potential to fully receive it all, you know, to receive your wish fulfillment. This is like happily ever after type of vibes, you know, where whatever your happily ever after is very much so attainable, and probably already existent in ways that you probably haven't quite acknowledged yet. And the overflow is set to commence at any time, you know. These two together, and look, here's the Emperor matched to the Empress. Wow, like wow. I didn't mean to do that, y'all. I didn't. But that's talking about that divine match, somebody that matches your fly, you know, not heartbreak. We're not here for that, you know, and that's about past relationships. So also releasing and keeping boundaries for those previous relationships that haven't proven themselves to be a powerful energetic force, or releasing yourself from the heartbreak of past disappointments, whether they be in relationships or connections, contracts. I think I even spoke on that already, about that, those moments of release, those opportunities for release is happening. These are sword energies. Maybe you're still thinking about old regrets, you know, and that fuels your fears on how to move forward. Or you know, the reason why you perhaps can't see your Empress status holistically is because there's still some obstruction of past vibrations that just need to still be released, you know. And maybe they are being released for you, as long as you're willing to take those moments of rest and rejuvenation. Maybe that's why I was saying so much of that before, because we're still looking to somehow prove ourselves worthy and work for our supper. Ultimately, we're still kind of like halfway in, halfway out of that energy, where we almost feel guilty for sitting back, relaxing and waiting, and foolish, maybe even like, I should be doing something. I gotta go, you know, make something happen, when it's like, no, baby, you the Empress. It's coming. And more important, and even as importantly, you're the Emperor, or you're in the direct energetic alignment to attract that match that's not only going to help prosper you, but also protect you, and be in in partnership with your energetic force and creativity. That's going to help to help your manifestations and also help you to protect them. You're in alignment for that, leaving the past behind, leaving fears and regret, remorse, guilt, shame, that old world energy from past experiences behind, and accepting this cup of love wholeheartedly, and knowing that for some of us, it might even feel overwhelming, as this cup is overflowing. But as you accept this overflow and don't reject it for fear that you haven't done enough, as if the Empress is not worthy enough to receive the gifts of God, the overflow in the spirit, you might miss the opportunity to project your happily ever after in totality. Don't sell yourself short, I guess is what I'm saying. And that was the Six of Wands again. You've overcome so much. You deserve everything that you're receiving now and so much more, because once that door, once those floodgates open, it's all gas, no brakes for how the spirit wants to bless you. And the only way that it stops is from you resisting it. Yeah, it's a new way of life that's not an impoverished perspective. It's one that is it's inspirational. It has great potential and power, and it allows you to experience yourself in a whole new energetic force that is quite foreign. It can be foreign because, as I've been saying, I don't think I'm keeping all these. Yeah, but I'm gonna look at them though. As I was saying, like, it is foreign because we've been in this limited energy where there's been competition literally over our life, over our power. Dark forces fighting to keep us out of the Queen of Wands energy, who is powerful in her own right. She knows how to wield her power. She knows how to reserve her power. She knows that her earthly energetic force is just as powerful as the spiritual energetic force that she submits to. And we've had dark, diabolical energies that have been continuously causing tower moments, disruptions, shocks, and disturbances in our lives to keep us distracted from our ultimate power to create any reality that we put our mind to. Ultimately, from this stage, the Queen of Cups kind of peeked out a little bit earlier, but again, assuming that the Empress embodies all of them, but this is particularly shining a light on the passions of us, our pure passions that have been obstructed and distracted, and in some ways destroyed. I was about to say destructed. Destroyed by way of hidden enemies, that have been working in a diabolical nature. And this has been intimately, and this has been societally, it's been culturally, it's been religiously, it's been every which way you've named, which is why it's so important that I continue to stress that you really celebrate your progress and the process that you surrendered yourself to, what the circumstances that you overcame and how you surrendered to your spirit, that guiding light and that guiding force that spoke within you when you had no clue of which way to turn, no true idea. You weren't even connected to your highest value, the truth of yourself. You didn't even know where it began and where it ended, where your strength was really just your faith, because there may have been times when you were physically too weak you felt physically too weak to go on, but you continued to keep your mind as clear and conscious as possible. These are all the things that you get to celebrate as a victory. Yeah, because a lot of people have succumbed to this energy here, the Nine of Wands, which is mental instability, energetic imbalance on account of past experiences and past choices. So because of the energy that was sown, you can't even gather yourself. It's a wounded warrior in a sense. So in the highest vibration, it's just speaking to how no matter what you've gone through, you've overcome it and you're still standing, right? But the lower vibration connected to these cards is that you, some, not you, but some have allowed this experience of life where karma was kind of kicking your ass a little bit, and karma is our life lessons, you know, to instead of allowing it to put you on a positive trajectory forward or a new path forward, setting your direction, making your crooked ways straight is what I hear. You have completely, you know, surrendered and submitted to these circumstances, which in all disconnects you from your pure power, you know, disconnects you from your balanced mental stability, and disconnects you from being rejuvenated and revitalized, and ultimately keeps you stuck in this position looking backwards instead of progressing forward, you know. So when you're sitting in the opposite energy, this is the highest octave of that you can possibly get, quite honestly, besides the aces, which we also did have. When you're sitting in that energy where you might not necessarily, and look, it's right here, wow, you might not necessarily see your happily ever after in real time, you know, as you've envisioned it, you know, like the house, the cars, the kids, the relationship, the business, the job, the position, the, you know, all these things, the prosperity. You may not be able to actually sensationalize it with touch and taste and sound and sight, but you still have the faith for it. You still have the hope for it. You can almost touch it. You can almost taste it. You know, you can close your eyes and truly envision it. That in itself is a powerful position to be in, because if you can visualize it, it's already done. Some people, because of their past experiences, can't even visualize a future that is prosperous and prominent, disconnected from the diabolical ways that they acquired it before. Meaning there was a way that you know, may have gained success and power and prosperity, and because of how that energy was expelled, it's almost impossible for individuals that succumb to this vibration to really ground themselves in the present state of consciousness to project this future, you know. So it's like they're either stuck on a loop of still, you know, trying to do the same thing for different results, or trying to recreate the results that previously worked, or they're just completely at a loss as to how to move forward at all, you know, in any sensational and satisfactory way, because they're unwilling to relent to the present moment. You know, they're unwilling to surrender to the call of the spirit at this time, which may put you in a position to feel like you've even started over, you know. But some people are not willing to take that type of, take that type of chance, because it just seems like it's too hard to start from square one when you had so much at your fingertips. But would you rather have so much of something that is ultimately fleeting and not sustainable and not even satisfying, or would you rather start all over if need be? Yeah, that puts you in a heartbreak position. Or would you rather start all over, maybe get your heart broken a little bit because of the things that you have to let go of, and and the ways that you have to almost become new in order to do so, to gain the fullness of the harvest, the fullness of satisfaction and sensational, a spirit that is living sensationally and spiritually, Yeah, that didn't fully turn around, but yeah, that's what that is. This is depression. This is remorse, regret, guilt, shame. That's the energy that this affords you. I'm gonna just put it here just so we know. You know what I mean? Like, this is, and some are already in this energy because of their past investments. But is this where you really want to stay? I don't think so. No, that was the Four of Cups again, rejection. So let's get one more and then I'm out the door. Can I get one more, Spirit, just to keep it kind of balanced over here. That was the Knight of Pentacles. No matter how long it takes, it's a stable offer, and that's what you want. Stability, you know, in this day and age. Not a lick, not something fly by night. Exactly. If you're going to manipulate anything, and anyway, it's not even about manipulation. There's the Eight of Wands, which is about divine ordinance and influx of energy for the magician, who there's a difference between a manipulator and a magician. The manipulation happens in the lowest vibration of the magician, and that's the energy here that I was speaking about. Seven of Swords energy, where you're cheating, stealing, robbing, killing for prosperity. Five of Swords energy, where you're looking to win at all costs, no matter who you hurt or who you know, who you bruise or have to step on. Five of Wands energy, where it's just unnecessary competition when everybody has their own lane. The Eight of Wands is like divine, you know, in this case, it's, especially with the sun here, it's like the vibrance of the sun coming down into the earth, you know, really that vitality and that life force, you know, the most powerful life force in our solar system, you know, giving us and invigorating us with new life, regenerating us to be the masters of our manifestation. That's what you want to be. You can, that's what I really meant to say. You can be a manipulator or a master, you know. You can be the master of your manifestations, a master of your material world, meaning you can literally take anything that you're given. And this also implies that you have taken anything that you were given and you've transmuted that energy to put yourself in this seat of position of authority and ultimate power, supreme power here with the Empress and the Emperor that came out earlier. The lower vibration affords you this right here, where your power is blocked, you're possessed by your addictions, by your obsessions, by your carnal lower nature. You know, you're stuck in only the sensational, pursuing sensational results, you know, but not necessarily spiritual results. You can have both, but when you're only pursuing what's good to the senses, you're betraying yourself ultimately with the Five of Swords energy here. And most likely when you're only pursuing, like when you're fixated and obsessed with your sensational carnal satisfactions, you usually, it's at some cost of yourself and others, because this actually implies that even when you mean for it to be at the cost of another, it ultimately ends up affecting you just as much, if not more. And here is that receipt right here with the Five of Cups, that it leaves you depleted, depressed, devoid of divinity. It puts you in continuous destructive positions, you know, where you're imbalanced and thrown. Every time you build something up, it's torn down. Like you can't really stabilize your energetic force or your material world. Your emotional imbalance is just you know, overwhelming in this position. Like you can't even see the future because you're still fixated on the cups of wine or milk that spilled in the past. That's the vibration, the lower vibration of the outcome of the lowest vibration of the magician and the manipulative form, that narcissistic energy, you know, also known as a narcissist when I'm saying the manipulator. That's the lower vibration, the outcome for that. The highest vibration, again, where you can take anything, transmute it. That means you can take your past experiences and create a testimony, create a business. You know, maybe coming from poverty, you can create opportunities for others to gain wealth or to prosper themselves in some productive way. Maybe coming from a tumultuous relationship or a failed marriage, or, you know, a toxic connection of some sort. It positions you to know your value more consciously, and to only manifest and attract the highest vibration of love, that Ace of Cups energy. And when you're attracting that, when it's coming to you, that means you're attracting it. And when you get it and you're willing to maintain it, again, still on the magician vibes, not manipulate it, but maintain it, nurture it, honor it, expand upon it, invest wisely into it. That also is what affords you the legacy, that 10 of um of cups, happily ever after, longevity, that 10 of pentacles that peaked out as well, generational wealth, healthy money mentality, and a wealth-minded perspective, and a prosperous legacy and dynasty. That's the energy of the sun, where we become the light of the sun, in the earth, as the sun is so far away, yet we still feel its energy and its heat. We become the projections of those rays, of that vitality, that energy that not only helps the things in our life to grow, but if it nourishes and fertilizes the land to create new opportunities for others to prosper. And then that energy births new energy with the baby here in the card. And then that legacy continues on. And before you know it, you've completely changed the trajectory of your earthly legacy, from one that may have been in lack and impoverished and loveless and dysfunctional and codependent and dependent, to one that is completely self-contained and self-sustained, and all of those wonderful things, a powerful force in spirit and in truth, which again is the opposite of what the powers that be, powers that were, would like to see created in the earth. So just know that you're in opposition to the large minority of life force and that Hierophant energy that came out in the very beginning, as an opposition almost to the Empress energy, where you're just sitting and allowing things to be manifested for you. What you've already sown, what you've already created, it's almost growing itself. That's the energy that we want to, as an individual force and a collective force, prove to be most prominent, because the powers that be will probably try to work against it in some fantastical way, as they see that mindset and that energy is expanding rapidly. So it's up to us to stay strong in that vibration, continue to accept the gifts of the divine, and replant that seed as many times as possible. Don't get stingy with your energy. It doesn't mean squander it and give it away either, because you've earned it, so it's yours to govern. But make sure that in everything you do, you're allowing that seed to grow as prosperously as possible, so that even if it's a business, it's the head of the business that is, they say the energy comes from the top down, the head down. So even if it's a business that you don't even work at, it's your intentions and your vibrational force that is going to fuel the impression and impact of that business. So everything the Empress puts her hands to in the magician energy ultimately turns to gold. It becomes high value in the land, and that high value can only produce more high value, and that's people, places, and things. It's in the things you give life to, the people you give life to, the things you give life to, and the places and spaces, virtually or actually, that you create, that are ultimately going to bring this wheel of fortune to its full circle, help the collective evolve, in a transcendent and ascendant way, and again will change the DNA of change the DNA of the divine dynasty that we we all have the potential to not only embody but to perpetuate, if that makes sense. Like eternal life ultimately is what I'm getting at. It's the energy of eternal life in the flesh. All of this, not this, but all of this is the perpetuation of eternal life. The things that you create, leaving legacy for those that come behind you, correcting shortcomings or just bringing past surrenders and sacrifices of ancestors before you to a full circle, and so that nothing, no sacrifice has gone in vain, and then leaving something behind for generations to come that can continue to be sustenance and spiritual and energetic prosperity and material prosperity in the land beyond your breath, if there is such a thing. All right. So that's all. I'm done today. Hope you're having a wonderful day again. And yeah, until next time, peace.